So after running this printer basically continuously for 8 months, I finally went through it and put some new wheels on it, the wheels that the bed rides on, and just kind of tightened up all the tolerances for everything on here. And I thought, you know what, while I'm at it, why don't I throw a few upgrades at it? So one of the biggest issues with my Ender 3 V2 is that when I'm doing gyroid infill, which looks like that, there you go. So that's gyroid infill. And if you have more infill density, those little waves are closer together. And what happens with this tower assembly, whatever you want to call it, this arch here, is when that bed is going back and forth quickly and this head's going back and forth quickly, everything just kind of oscillates and wobbles around and moves. That's bad. You don't want movement anywhere other than here and here and then up and down. So any kind of oscillation or bending or movement that way is bad. So what I did to help eliminate that is I bought these support bars and I bought a second Z-axis. They're kits you can get. They're on Amazon. So this Z-axis kit just kind of daisy chains in here. Then you put another motor just like the other side has, and then you add this plate with some new hardware, and then it also comes with bearings to hold the top of the Z-axis in place. I did have one made on this printer, similar to this one, but since I was putting two in and the kit came with it, I wanted to be on the same side to side, so I used these pre-built ones. And normally these would go on the back side here. That's how the directions show it, but because I put the dual Z-axis in, I had to put them somewhere else. But you just kind of assemble everything loosely and then tighten it up, slide those back, crank it down. Now when this does gyroid infill, it doesn't wobble. Because I've got direct drive, I have to have this mounted above it. This doesn't help when you put weight on the end of that thing that's wobbling, so I ran a couple bigger parts. I'm running something pretty small right now, but my bigger parts turned out better than they had previously. So stiffening this all up, and the Z-axis, the second Z-axis keeps your X-axis here from doing this, because you want to keep it nice and straight, so it goes up and down like this instead of like this. So a lot better resolution on the parts. There's considerably less wobbling, because without this you could see this spool and it'd just dance around and bounce. It hardly does that at all now. So not that expensive. It makes it a hell of a lot more accurate, so I think it's well worth the investment. And the other thing about these things is parts are dirt cheap. I replaced the hot end when that went bad with this whole direct drive unit, new motor and everything, for $35, $39, something like that. That motor broke, which I think it's because I had this belt over tightened. That was 13 bucks. You know, the print nozzles are like $1.50 a piece, something like that. All the parts for this are dirt cheap, so it's easy to repair, it's cheap to repair, and I mean, I've run it so hard, like basically continuously since February, and it's the end of October. So I love it. Great product. I like the Ender product so much. I got another one. This one I haven't run that much. I've only run this a couple of weeks, but I really like this Ender 2 also. It's a much cheaper option to get into 3D printing. And I've got a couple of upgrades for this one. This is a Z-axis motor mount. You can see the OEM one only holds one side of the motor. This holds a little bit more of the motor, might keep it a little stiffer. I printed a bearing for the top of this to hold that in place of the carry handle. And then I have a metal kit to replace these plastic parts, because one part that's for sure going to break is this tension lever. So this lever holds this bearing against the feeder and pushes the filament in. These are notorious for breaking. That's the only weak part that Creality puts on these Ender printers, and I really wish they'd just send them out with the metal ones. They'd have a much better product for only another $10. So that I'm going to be replacing that. I think this should just go on right away. I don't think it's worth keeping this plastic one on. But other than this one arm, I have had no problems with these printers. They're great. Highly suggest trying them out. So, and I am not sponsored by them. I'm not getting paid to say that. This is just me and my hobby. I really like this product, so I thought I'd share that with you. I'm not getting anything from them to say that. So, yeah, that's my little Ender upgrades.